Right, so we are looking at the debtors collection and then the creditors payments. Sorry.
Miss Dawes, if you can please come down to the front office. Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry for that. Right, so we're going to do the debtors collection schedule and then the creditors payment schedule for the period 1 October 2028 until 31 December 2028. So in other words, we are doing it for 3 months. So I'm only going to focus on that for now. So I'm going to ignore the other questions. First of all, information. So we have balances on the 1st of October 2028. So the reason why you would be interested in balances is if they maybe were nice enough to tell you how many debtors or what you still have outstanding for your debtors from the previous month, but obviously they're not going to be that nice. They're not going to give you that. You are looking for anything relevant to credit sales and credit purchases. So here we have the extract of the statement of comprehensive income for the year ended 30 September 2028. So in other words, that is the day before your budgeting period started because you are doing this budget for 1 October up until 31 December, right? Just keep in mind that this is given for the year. So if you now have to use the salaries, for instance, it's the annual salaries that have been provided. But still, you are looking for sales and purchases. This is not relevant to what you are looking for now. So here we go. Total sales. So they are saying that in August and September, the 2 months prior to your budgeting period, you had the following actual sales, of which 40% was on credit. And then you also have your budgeted sales for October up until December. And it says that during October and November, 50% of the sales are expected to be on credit. So 50% will be credit and 50% will therefore be cash. That's for October and November. So August and September, 40, October, November, 50. And then from the 1st of December onwards, you are expecting it to increase by 20%. So in other words, your December credit sales will be 70% of your total sales. So if we are looking at our answer book here, right? So they want the total sales first. So in August, that was 90,000. In September, 80,000. In October, 75. 110,000 and in December 150. Now they want to know how much of that was cash, and we know that 60% will be cash for August and September, and for August and September 40% credit. Then for October and November 50% cash, 50% credit, and then in December 70% for credit and 30% for cash. So let's do that real quick. So we have our 90,000 times 60%. So 54,000 over here, right? Then for September, 80,000 times 60%, that is 48,000. 48. Then October, 75,000 times 50%. And that's 37,500. And the same for November, 110,000 times 50%, so 55,000. And in December, it's going to increase to 70% that you have credit. So that means 30% cash, and that's 45%, 1,000. Right. Then your credit sales is therefore, if it's 90,000 times 40, 36,000. Oh, I lost connection. I'm not sure when it happened. So we'll just work with it. So what I did is I calculated my cash sales, August and September, 60% cash, October, November, 50% cash, and in December, only 30% cash. Then I also calculated my August credit sales, which amounted to 40% of my total sales. And here I have the one for September, also 40% of total sales. October and November was 50-50 split, so it will be the exact same as your cash. And then in December, you started with your total sales. Of that amount, 70% was on credit, so 105. Okay, so that is your total sales and then split between cash and credit. So all of these credit sales will not be received in the same month. So you now need to go and look at the information to see when your debtors will be making payment. So we've already used information 1. We are happy with that. So no need to look at that again. Why is it not drawing? There we go. So done. Then the amounts owing by debtors are collected as follows. 40% in the month of sale. Okay, so 40% in the month of sale, meaning that in August, whatever I sold on credit in August will be 40% thereof will be received in August. Okay, so of the August credit sales, 40% of the 36,000 will be received. So 40% of that will be received in the month of sale. 36 times 40. And that is 14,400. And because they are making payment within the month of the sale, I'm going to give them 2.5% discount. So I'm going to say that, yes, you're going to pay me, but you don't have to pay me the full 100% of what you owed me. You can pay me that minus 2.5%. So you are only going to pay me 97.5%. Okay, so initially they owed you 100% of what they purchased from you. You are being nice, saying that you don't have to pay me that full amount if you are going to make payment within the month of purchase. You only have to pay me 97.5%. So it's the 36, I'm collecting 40%, but they only have to pay me 97.5% of the amount owing. So therefore, I will receive 14,040 Rand. Okay, then September. So I'm going to do all of the 40%ers first. So in September, I can't collect anything in August for, I can't collect anything in August for September sales because the sales have not yet occurred. I can only start collecting in the month of sale. So I had 32,000. I'm expecting 40% of them to pay. Then I will give them discounts. So I'll only receive 97.5% of the amount. So I'll only receive 12,480 Rand in September for the September credit sales. Then October, I can't receive anything in August because the sale only occurred in October. Therefore, I can also not receive anything in September. I'm only going to start receiving money for the October sales in October. So I had 37,500 in credit sales. I'm expecting to receive 40% thereof, and then I will give them discount. So there's the amount that I'm expecting to receive from them. Then November, same thing. No collections in August, September, or October because the sale only occurred in November. I'm going to collect 40% of the credit sales, and then I'm going to allow some discount. Therefore, I will only receive 21,450. December sales can only, you can only start collecting that in December. So you had 105 in credit sales times 40%, only 97.5% to be received because you are going to allow discount. So you don't show that discount anywhere in your books. So that is for your first month, so in the month of sale. Then 35% will be received in the month following the sale, so after 30 days. So in other words, my August credit sales, the month after is September, and I am then expecting 35%. So if I had 36,000 in credit sales, I'm expecting to receive 35%. I'm expecting to receive 12,600 in September for my August credit sales. Then I'm going to do the same with September. So September, a month after, is October. So my September credit sales times 35%, I'm expecting to collect 11,200 in October. Then October, 1 month after, is November. So October credit sales times 35%, 13,125 to be received in November. November, 1 month after, is December. So November credit sales times 35%, 19,250. And then December, 1 month after, is Jan, but we're not doing Jan. Next up, 20% in the second month following the sale, so 2 months after the sale. So I have here August, so 2 months after is October. So I'm then going to receive 20% of my August credit sales. So credit sales, 36,000 times 20. So in October, I'm going to receive 7,200 of the goods that I sold on credit in August. Then September times 20%, 2 months after in November. What was that? 6,400. Let me double check. Yes. Okay, cool. Then October to be received in December, 7,500. Okay, November, 2 months after, will be received in Jan. I'm not doing Jan. And December will be Feb. I'm not doing Feb, so I'm just ignoring that. Then it says the rest will be written off as irrecoverable in the third month. In other words, I'm not going to receive anything after that second month after sale. So that means in total, in August, I'll receive that. So now we're just adding all of the amounts per month. And then 25,028 will be received in September. And then October, 7,200 plus the September collections plus the October collections. So 33,025. And then 6,400 plus 21,450. Right, so that's 49,75. There are 7,500 plus 19,250 plus 49,50. So a lot that we are collecting in December, which makes sense because we had a lot of credit sales in December. So we're collecting a lot of money. Plus our overall sales increased a lot in December. Okay. So that is a debtors collection. So if you now have to show this in your cash budget, if we can go to the cash budget, you're first of all going to have cash sales. So cash sales, cash received from sales, and then cash received from debtors. Debtors. Right. So for October, your cash sales that we then calculated, here we calculated all of our cash sales. So you're just going to copy and paste that in your cash sales. Then cash received from debtors, for that you will go to the debtors collection, and you only want it for October, November, and December. So these are the collections in October, November, December. Here we are listing the months in which the sale occurred. So copy and paste directly to your cash budget. Nice and easy. Okay. Then next up, says that cost of sales is equal to 75% of turnover. So in other words, the stock that you sold that will be included in your projected SOCI is 75% of your turnover. And then of that 75%, 40% will be purchases that you make in cash, and 90% will be, or 90% of your creditors will be paid in the month following the purchase. So it says cost of sales is 75% of turnover, and then number 6 says trading stock on hand is maintained through monthly purchases, meaning that whatever I had as cost of sales for this month, I will also have as purchases because I'm replenishing my stock, I'm replacing my stock in the month of sale. So that means if you look at your turnover, turnover is total sales, right? If you're looking at your total sales over here, copy that to the creditors, you're saying that 75% of your total sales will then be cost of sales. So let's do that. So it's 90,000 times 75%. So that's 67,500. And then we're doing the same for September because they told us the cost of sales is 75%. 60,000, 75 times, there we go. Now I'm just double checking. Yes, 75. It's just because both were 75 now. Just wanted to make sure. So that's 56520. No, 520. Let me just, sorry, times 0.75, 250. Yeah, that's what I thought. 250. Right. And then we have 110 times 0.75. So we have 82,500. And the same for December, 150 times 0.75 to get to 112,500. 112,500. Okay, so now we have all of our cost of sales amounts. And remember, they said that, what did I do now? They said that we replenish our stock in the month of sale. So in other words, whatever I had as cost of sales, that will then be my purchases. However, everything will not be cash, nor will everything be credit. They are saying that 40% will be cash, and they didn't say that it's going to change throughout the period. So for all of them, 40% cash and 60% will be your credit purchases. So now we take the full cost of sales times 40 to get to our cash. 27,000, and then 60,000 times 0.4 is 24,000. And then we have 56,250 times 0.4. So 22,500 for October. And then 82,500 times 40, 33 for November. And then December times 40 is 45,000. Okay, right. Then we do the credit purchases. So credit purchases equal to 60%. So that's 40,500. And then 60,000 times 60% is 36,000. And then we have 56,250 times 60, so 33,750. Then we have the 82,500 times 60, so 49,500. And the last one, 112,500 times 0.6. I can't right now. I'm in a video. I'm busy with the video. I'm recording a video. Sorry, I'm recording a video for kids. So, right. So that's, I'll be with you now. So we have credit purchases there. Right. And these purchases are going to be paid. Sorry about that. These purchases are going to be paid after 30 days. But only 90% thereof. And then we will receive a 5% discount. The remaining creditors will be paid after 60 days. Okay, so if we're looking at August, right? So if we're looking at the August purchases of credit, so credit purchases, we are saying that we're not going to pay that in August. We are going to pay 90% thereof in September, right? And then 10% will be paid in October. So 90% will be paid in September. So 40,500 is the credit purchases. 90% will be paid in September, and then we'll get a 5% discount. So 5%, but we'll just round that off. That's not an issue. So there we go. Oh, fuck. There we go. And make it an 8. Right. Then we're going to do the same our September credit purchases, we will pay 90% thereof in October in order for us to get that 5% discount. So there we go. I'll double check that one now to ensure that I didn't make a typo. So August credit purchases times 90, but then we're getting a 5% discount. Yes, okay, so it is a decimal. Then November, I'm lying, October. So October credit purchases, we are going to pay 90% thereof in November, and then we're going to get a 5% discount. So once again, decimals, but it's okay. We shall work with that. So there we go, to be paid in November. Then the November credit purchases of 94,500, I'm going to pay 90% thereof in December to get my 5% discount. So once again, a decimal, but we're not concerned about that. Right. December credit purchases, I am not going to make any of those payments in the current month because I only start paying them 1 month after. Then the remaining creditors are paid after 60 days. So in other words, 2 months after the purchase. So if I'm looking at my August credit purchases of 40,500, I'm paying 10% thereof in October. That's 2 months after. Then if I'm looking at my credit purchases for September, 2 months after is November. So paying 3,600 in November. Then October credit sales, 2 months after, will be paid in December. Right. And then you just add all of them together. So nothing paid here. Remember, we're not paying any of the December credit purchases because the payments only start 1 month after. So here it's nothing, 34,628. And then 4050 plus 3780. So 34830. And then here, 3,600 plus 28,856 is 32. There we go. And then the last one, we have 3375 plus 42,323. Right. So there we have our total payments to our creditors. Right, so how does this reflect in your cash budget? So if you go to your cash payments, you will first of all say cash purchases, right? Because these are the purchases made per month that you have paid for. So cash purchases, October up until December goes to your cash budget. Then you're going to have payments to creditors. And the payments to creditors, you are doing October to November. So here you have your payments to your creditors. So yes, I do have the September one, but I don't need it now because I'm not doing the cash budget for September as well. So I only want the payments made October to December. And that's it for your debtors and your creditors. I will do the cash budget itself in another video so that I can just quickly attend to whatever that matter was now.